All right. Hello and hello. Today is May 11th, 2018. It is technically 1.364, 365 days in a year. However, it's actually 364 and a quarter. So I'm willing to bet that since it's afternoon, we've actually had two quarters, which would be a half, and put them together, you get a whole. And the short of it is 2 years. So I'm going to go ahead and make the 2 year video. This is it. This is the 2 year video of 2 years of hormone replacement therapy. And I definitely would say that there have been some changes, wouldn't you? I can tell that in the last month, since having a GCS, let's see, what did I weigh yesterday? Let me do the math real quick. I had GCS 6 weeks ago, and I weigh 34 pounds more than I did 6 weeks ago. And I'm happy to say that it has plateaued out at that. That I am, the weight that I am now is the weight that I've been for a good week and a half. So I feel like I've reached the new equilibrium. I'm also exercising. Today, for example, today I did twice already. Today it's midday. I'm on my lunch break. And I still have one more session of exercise to go. So I am actually walking. I am actually doing exercise. And I think that may have helped to arrest some of the explosion that was going on with eating food. But I can definitely look in my face and see I'm a little more puffier than I was 6 weeks ago. And that's okay. I didn't expect to be eating what I ate to lose the weight. Okay, so that's all good. Yeah, I looked at the calendar about 10 minutes ago, and I said, today's Friday, and I'm like, well, 2 years ago, it was 2 years ago is when I got the script and had my letters and got the script and filled it and started this wonderful journey. I believe it were transdermal patches from the beginning. They were not. This round of transition, when I transitioned in the 90s, excuse me, I have to adjust. I was on Premarin. I was on oral estrogen, and this time around, I had done patches, and then now I'm on injectables. So yeah, 2 years, and definitely some changes are going on. The topic that I was going to make before I realized it was 2 years was something about life being somewhat ho-hum, which I made a video the other day about it being ho-hum, but I was walking around the block and I was just, waving to my neighbors and whatnot and people working in the yard, and the thought that kind of popped up in my head was that life goes on, and I think that's common sense, and you probably would go, well, duh. So much of our run time leading up to hormones and our transition is worry and fear about what might be, and then I think in that period of time where we'll say the first 7 months of our transition, we're on hormones, our body is changing, everything is changing. We're worried about how the world around us is going to accept us and everything else. And then we get to that golden seventh month, 8th month, 9th month, where the changes are obvious. We're not done yet. We're still changing. And then we get to that year, that 1 year, and you're like, by the 1 year, you're like, oh my gosh, my life is so very, very different. And I think the second year just cements it a little more. I can't speak for the third or the fourth, but I imagine, again, it gets to be, it's the new normal, and that's where that ho-hum kind of comes into play. For example, the past couple days, I returned to work after my surgery, and it took everything I had to do a full day of work. And so I realized, like, at night, after I did my last dilation, I was like, I didn't dress up today like I normally would do to go to work, like I did today, with a blouse and a little bit of makeup and everything. I didn't do that because it was ho hum. It was the routine. It was. I used to make fun of the moms across the street who. There's about three of them, three houses side by side, and they all have little toddlers. And in the mornings they all get together, and they got the flip flops and the sweatpants, and they're smoking and whatnot. And here I come in the morning, on my way, to get some exercise before I go to work, and I'm, dressed up like I'm going to work and got myself together, and I'm sure I look funny to them. And then I come back home and I go to work, right? So, so back to that idea of, it's not ho-hum as in you're bored, it's just it becomes the norm. And much like you go grocery shopping, be the most mundane thing I can think of. Wake up and, hey, we need milk or whatever, and you make sure you're wearing a bra, grab your purse, you're out the door, and you're at the grocery store, and you're pushing your cart around, and you don't give a fuck what people think about you. You do your thing, you buy your groceries, and you come home. And on the way out, the greeter says, welcome to Walmart, ma'am, or have a good day, ma'am, or whatever. And it becomes normal. It becomes what you expect, but it becomes somewhat normal. And then you think back, and you're like, okay, there was a time when I was deathly afraid to come into the grocery store. I was deathly afraid. I made the comment a couple videos ago about buying underwear, and it was like, it just becomes so commonplace. And to put it in the perspective of where you're at that time, again, I think, and to a degree, the second year achievement is some way like you're like, yeah, okay, whereas the first year it's like, oh, first year, it's always something to be congratulated, but it becomes the ho hum, it becomes the norm, it becomes what you expect, etc., etc., etc. So I'd share that. But again, 2 years, lots of changes in 2 years. I 2 years is a long time. We'll see what happens. But things, like I said, become kind of ho-hum. Things become kind of normal. Things that at one time were like, oh, I can't believe I get to do this now, etc., etc. So that's that. I mentioned surgery. I am still recovering, obviously. My biggest complaint would be at night. All throughout the day, every dilation widens things, stretches things, things get looser. And I've noticed after my last dilation, and my body, I guess, rests and rebuilds and everything, it begins to contract and tighten. And that's like by 7 o'clock at night, I have so much pain because things have stretched and they've contracted, and I don't know. I'm healing on the inside, which is really good because you can't really see what's going on, and I no longer have the Frankenstein look anymore. So things are happening in here, okay? But it hurts, my other major complaint, I guess, would be what I'm going to say is you feel like you're having an erection. That's the closest thing I can think of. you, my vagina tightens, like locks up, like there's activity, like it's stimulated in a way. I mean, hands off, I'm not doing anything. Like, you're sitting there at the bus stop, used to be, and you'd get an erection. That happens to me, and it like locks me up, and it cracks me up because I know there's no penis there. I mean, but it's that feeling of, and you're like, okay, go away. What do you think about sports or tennis or something that gets your erection to go? Well, there's no erection there. There's no penis, and you're like, okay. And I don't, I'm curious to find out what it is once I heal and I can masturbate or something. There's a disconnect here. I've where I am and where I want to be, and yeah. So I'm still healing. The body is healing. Things are still happening, and so I need to let that happen. And before it'd be stress, and even if you weren't turned on by a certain way, you could masturbate and you would ejaculate and release the tension. And I haven't been able to do that for 7 weeks, and it's building, I guess. I don't know. But then I think about it, and then you hurt because you get the erection, and it's confusing. So maybe after you have surgery, you will be able to figure out. Maybe we'll compare notes. Maybe I'll figure it out by then. But that's about it. So that is my 2-year, I suppose. Don't know what the future holds. Don't know what's in the cards. Continue. I kind of have made a promise to myself that, I'm taking care of business as usual. I'm taking care of my daughter, obviously. I'm taking care of the house. I'm taking care of my responsibilities. But I am not doing anything else like fun or whatnot until my surgery is paid off in full. So saving money and paying it off. Saving and paying it off. The future may have some voice therapy lessons in it, some voice training. I'm just curious what a professional can do, what a professional might suggest to me. Because there are times, I like having the flexibility that I have. I like, especially when I DM, I like to be able to go deep and go high if I need to. But there's something, I feel like there's a connection that, as my outward appearance has changed, and if that is my presentation, let's say, physical presentation, that there's a part of me that I am not expressing, and I might be totally full of shit. But if I was able to talk in a different way, or I was able to, if I was able to express myself, I feel like in a way I would be able to do that in a way that I couldn't otherwise. And that would be, one thing that I need to explore to a certain degree. And definitely I have the ability to go over the top. If I go over the top in this presentation or how I speak or whatnot, I definitely have the ability to go over the top and be, more feminine than feminine, which of course would be false, right? You don't want to be that way, but there's definitely some, I want to say there's some palettes perhaps with your voice that I want to explore. And that may cause some repercussions and reverberations in the world around me. But it's one of those things, it's very hard. I feel very much at ease in this space, and I get very, very sad when I have to leave this space. However, what is reality? What is the truth? It's more of a philosophical discussion than I wanted to get into, but that is a bit of undiscovered territory, uncharted territory that I need to explore at some point. However, other things had to take precedence. Okay, so there's definitely some room for expansion and exploration a little bit, and I just have to kind of see what I feel comfortable doing. Okay. And that's all I can think of for right now. Year 2. So anyway, on that note, I do need to get back to life. Much like that ho-hum talk, life goes on. Your lunch hour is almost over. You got to go back to work, right? Life does continue. Okay. So on that note, I will sign off and say good luck to everyone. Now I do need to go. Good luck to everyone in your transition and in your journey. I wish you the best of luck in becoming the best version of yourself as you define what that is, okay? Find out for yourself what it is. And until next time, good luck.